I was introduced to RCNC specifically because I was told it was a V club by a past member, Wangare Mwaniki, who is my friend, and we knew each other outside Rotary and Rotaract. So she's the one who introduced me to RCNC and told me if I want to join any professional and community service club, I best do well and join RCNC. And I don't regret that decision. And I thank her.
Maybe remove your video. Lucy.
Yes.
So that I think it can stream better.
Okay, apologies for that.
Just. Oh, it's back.
But
was it your internet or our internet?
I'm not sure. I don't know whether everyone else was.
Yeah, okay. Go ahead.
I was hearing you clear, Lucy.
It might be my internet. Sorry, go ahead then.
Okay, so I think that's about it. And so perhaps to correct something, I handed over to rest his soul Legrand Dennis, who then handed over to Maria. Or was it the other way around? I forget. Maria handed over to you and you handed over to Legrand. Oh, yeah.
Okay, asante sana. Maria, I'll throw the same question to you. Maybe you can give us a history of who introduced you to Rotaract or how you came about to learn about Rotaract.
I was introduced to Rotaract in 2011 when I was in campus by my best friend, Pam Wende. Interestingly, she was very active for a very short time, and then she left me for many other years to be in Rotaract. So I transitioned to RCNC in the year 2013, which is the year Al-Bashir also transitioned, not 2014. I think I have the history better than many people. So after when we were finishing campus, we joined at the same time. So I was pushed to join the Rotaract Club of Nairobi Central by Irina, who gave me no choice. I was being scouted by a few Rotaract clubs in Nairobi, and some were very sure that I was going to transition there. But Irina made it her mission that I joined RCNC. Yeah, and said that I would be president and many other things way before. So in Rotaract Club of KU, I was there a member for 2 years before I transitioned to RCNC. I was a member for around 7 or 6, I think 6 years, thereabouts. Yeah.
Asante sana. And for those who do not know, Irina is also an alumnus of the club. Currently a Rotarian in our mother club, Rotary Nairobi. And for our guests, kindly take note of the history of some of these people. You don't have to have known someone in the club to be a member. It can literally just be one day today you're a guest and tomorrow you're a member. Sawa. Rotarian Gideon, kindly give us your history of your introduction to Rotaract.
I actually joined Rotaract at Interact level. The year was the day was Thursday, the 20th of February, 1986. I just joined Dagoretti High School for my A levels, and I met 2 Asians who had come to the club to basically give us a talk. And one of the Rotarian is President Darcy Lotte, who we developed a relationship till he passed on last year. What happened on that Thursday is we were given money, put in a 3rd class train to Mombasa, arrived there on Friday. We had a conference Saturday and we traveled back. And that was an extremely, an encounter I just would never forget. So when we got to Mombasa, we were booked in at Travelers Beach, And I was shocked to learn that this club was not just limited to the perimeter of the compound of Dagoretti High School. So we continued. I joined Moi University. For the first year, we chartered the Rotaract Club of Moi University, so I was a charter member. The following year, when we got into second year, we were split and taken to a campus that was about 50 kilometers from our main campus. So we chartered the Rotaract Club of Chepkoilel campus, Moi University, what is today is in the University of Eldoret, which we served. And at the time came for a conference in Nairobi in 1990, where we Chadins of Kodawala as the district governor. But several things were not sitting right. Rotaract Club in Nairobi, no, there was one, Milimani. So with another Rotarian called Mike Eldon and Darcy Lotte, we went about forming new clubs in Nairobi and reviving the Rotaract Club of Nairobi Central. So you'll find the University of Nairobi was chartered in 1991. I can remember Makoha, the editor, was the charter chair, and KU was chartered, University of Nairobi was chartered in 91 and sponsored by the Club in the North. Then we have the Rotary Club of KU University, which was chartered around the same year, but given to the Rotary Club of Nairobi South. And we came back while I was still a student to revive the Rotaract Club of Nairobi Central. So by and large, I started associating with the Rotaract Club of Nairobi Central as a student in Eldoret and continued until I became the president in the year 93-94. Thank you.
Wow, 1986. Yeah, some of our alumni were not even born, but it's okay. It's okay. Thank you very much. I'm not sure if Al-Bashir is with us. Al-Bashir, kindly, if you're with us, you can unmute.
Sana. Samantha, you're looking for me.
If not, then I think we'll just proceed.
No, he's here. I can see him. He's using number 2. I think he's in jail because that's a number of a jail bad. 371307. Are you in jail, Bashir?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Karibu sana. Yes, you can. Karibu sana.
Let me do some. To you. Ngoja kabla uniulize, acha unajua Gidi atanitoa rangi sana, so let me change some few things. Alafu ndio tuendelee. Sawa, so that's me. So nimetoka jela. Tell me, Samantha.
Al-Bashir, tuambie kutoka UN, nani ndo alikuambia kuhusu Rotaract? How did you get to know about it and become a member?
So I actually didn't want to join Rotaract. Nilikuwa nataka to join Rotary. So there was an open day in Sarit Center. I went to that open day. I think there was something Rotary Club of Nairobi was doing there. So they called me, I want to join you. My father is a cop, and the Nairobi used to do something for police. They used to give awards for cops. So my intention was to join them so that naweza ona venye mzee atapata kitu huko. Then so they told me it's very good, but the place for you ni Rotaract, and unasoma wapi? University of Nairobi. So they gave me the contract. The contact of the then president, alikuwa anaitwa Gidi. Some of the alumnus wanaweza mjua Gidi. So I went to commit na Gidi campus, and then their first event was a visit to Kenyatta Hospital, cancer ward kids. Hapo sasa ndo nikajua bas, this is the place to be. They had very beautiful gender balance in the club. So for a university construction related course, students. It was a very important consideration. So I joined club. That's how I started my Rotaract. Mimi mambo ya 1990, 1986. Me and Gidi share something, but not the years. Yes, ndivyo.
Okay. Asante sana. I think hearing all of you's stories on how you guys were introduced to Rotaract, I think we can all relate. We probably more or less heard of Rotaract and Rotary from a friend or a member of the club. And, you know, once you are in, you hakuna kutoka, you know, you had someone who held your hand through and told you that you are home. Yeah. So let's proceed. And Lucy, I'll come back to you again. And you were a pioneer of the signature club of RCNC back in the day, Agala K. Kindly tell us, how did you guys come about, you know, from inception, thinking about having such a project and you know, to execution in how getting sponsors and all that stuff, from challenges and finally the impact that the project has had, because currently the club is in transition in terms of the signature project. And I'm sure some of the information you may have will assist the current community service docket with pointers and direction on how they can go about it. So Lucy.
Thanks. Just to clarify, Agala K, those of us who are alumni here probably know what that stands for, but the whole campaign, so to speak, was a girl, a K, a year sanitary towels project. So basically 1 girl for 1,000 shillings for 1 year. So, and this came about, this was back in 2011, around the 2010, 2011, 2012 Rotary years. And it was basically to fill in the gap that disadvantaged girls have of missing school for what turns out to be an entire year when you put in the days they miss because of their menstruation cycle. So the aim was to fill that gap and to work with different schools, not only in Nairobi, around the country. So it started small, but we decided to have it run for 8 years. The idea being that if you're saving a year, you will eventually have taken a girl through 8 years of primary school. So from class 1 to class 8, basically that was the gist through it. And on sourcing different partners, we were very fortunate to work with Rotarian Vicky Winkler, who was our, if I could call her the champion partner on this, with her foundation, the Heart Foundation Health Education Africa Resource Team, to provide 12 packets of hygienic sanitary towels throughout a year, in addition to 4 pairs of underwear and a health manual. So that was how the project was incepted, and that was how we sort of began over time. And we decided to make it the RCNC signature project to run for a year. So subsequent presidents or subsequent boards who came in would carry that on as a signature project. And eventually we did reach over 1,000 girls in over 10 different schools around the country, from Eldoret to Maimahiu to right here in Nairobi. So yeah, that was basically it. I can answer more questions as you bring them up.
Okay, it seems to have been a well thought of project, and tell us about the impact. How many regions did you reach in terms of communities, and probably as a form of report, an estimate of how many girls were impacted by this project?
Yeah. Now, one thing in terms of reaching the reach and the impact, it was also very crucial and beneficial to work with other Rotary and Rotaract clubs. So for the regions that we went to, for instance, the Embu Urban Primary School worked hand in hand with the Rotaract Club of Embu, because all this, the idea is again to build goodwill and better friendships, and for it to be beneficial to all concerned. And the primary beneficiaries here were the girls. So as I mentioned, as I said, it's been a while. I can't remember the exact figure, but there were over 1,000 girls impacted. And some subsequently, because when we started the project, they may have been in standard 6 or 7. And so if we continue with the same school through the next 3 years, so the same girl will be impacted for the next 3 years until she finishes class 8. We also worked through and with the Interact clubs, Interact Club of Kenya High School, where your current president came from. And all these collaborations are what helped and made it easier for RCNC to go into the communities, to work with them, to sell the project. Because again, it wasn't, for the project to be successful, the community therein needs to own it. So the schools needed to own the project, in as much as RCNC also wanted to have the impact. So working with the clubs on the ground, so to speak, was very beneficial. So we worked, it was Eldoret, Embu, Maimahio, where else did we go? Here in Nairobi, there was Kibera. Maria, perhaps you can help me remember some of the other places. Oh yeah, we went as far as Uganda and Tanzania. So working with the local clubs in Uganda and Tanzania. So that is how broadly the project impacted then District 9200.
Fantastic. I'm hoping that the current community service committee is taking note on some of the pointers that you're relaying. I'm sure you experienced major setbacks and challenges, and you also had highlights as well, and memories that you picked up from the whole experience. Could you kindly share?
I feel like I should start with the highlights, because the challenges were quite a number. So it was a very interesting project, from standing on the roadside with bales and bales and bales of sanitary towels, trying to figure out how to get them to Embu, because you have promised this school that you're going to deliver them on a certain day. I remember a past member, and who was one of the community service directors, Dixon, was very stranded one day on Thika Road with bales of sanitary towels. People staring at him, wondering, what is this man doing with sanitary towels? All in efforts to get them to, that time I think we were going to Embu Urban School. So the logistics were a challenge, but they were trying to navigate them and mitigate them was fun to some extent. I'm sure RCNC, as you can identify with that, trying to work around the logistics is always fun. The other major challenge and point of growth was money. This clearly was not it was an ambitious project when we started, and I think, and I feel we hadn't really thought that it would be that expensive and that heavy of a burden once we started it. But when we started, we're like, no, we can't stop. Tushaanza. Sasa kutaendaje? We've already promised these girls, we've already started looking for partners, and we need to find ways of raising this money. It's from people's getting money from people's pockets to coming up with, it was called the Amazing Grace Challenge, where we got people to form teams and figure out ways of raising money or in their own teams. And at the end, the team that emerged the winner would get some sort of recognition. So again, mitigating the challenges and figuring out ways of working across these challenges is always fun to some extent. And the alumni dinners was one of the ways we used to fundraise. Going to our mother, RCN, Gideon, tuliwasumbua sana at the time, but haikuwa kusumbuka because as their children, the grandparents needed to help. So yeah, fundraising in different interesting ways. And I must commend the Pauline Juliet Foundation in Uganda, which was one of our major partners, was a heavy donor to the HPADS project.
Awesome. Thank you very much. I particularly wanted you to speak on that because, as I mentioned, the club is currently in transition into establishing a new signature project. So I'm hoping that the community service director and the committee will reach out, hopefully to you or any of the other alumni for whatever help or information they may require. But thank you very much for that. Maria, as president.
Sorry, Samantha, one last addition,
Yes.
point of note.
Yes.
I know this is emphasized at RCLC a lot and also in Rotary, but reporting is a big thing in getting donations. So we also had to learn quickly how to do our reporting, especially when we are asking for money from heavy hitters. So that is a key part of asking for the donations.
Apo sawa, reporting, not just for projects, but for all bases of the club. Aya, PP Maria, as president of this great club called Nairobi Central, what would you say was some of the challenges that you experienced in leadership currently at the club? Some of the things that you can attribute towards your success or to making the club different from where you found it. I hope my question has made sense. Maria?
Yes, I will make sense of it as we go. So in regards to challenges, certainly in leadership, there are always a lot of challenges. The variety of challenges depends on what kind of leadership you are. You know, there are national leaders, you know. Somebody like Mutahi Kagwe, every time I would see him on screen in 2020, I would like, oh my goodness, this is so hard, right? Because it's a matter of life and death. The decisions that he made impacted the lives of many families, or people who passed on, or people who got sick. And so it varies. So for a club like RCNC, it depends on a couple of things. First is the membership. In the normal cycle of Rotaract and Rotary clubs, and really any club, there are usually periods of highs and lows. The highs and lows also are largely determined by the membership. So who are the members at that time? How motivated are they? Have they been doing this for a while and things like that? So at that point, I think I became president in a transitional period where there was an exodus of a lot of alumni who had been holding the club very strongly. So I didn't understand to what extent they held very key functions of the club until they were no longer there. And so what that called for was a lot of creativity around recruitment, recruiting new members who are fresh, who didn't know much about Rotaract, but being very strategic around recruiting members who had been members of other Rotaract clubs, who had knowledge, who would come in, have hands-on experience, and get to work. That was really hard. That was really hard and challenging, and I think it occupied the first 6 months of my time as president. Just a massive recruitment drive, and not just getting members, but getting quality members was the challenge. And I think it's a challenge that cuts across many presidencies, even when the club is weak or the club is strong. So for me, I think the biggest challenge was becoming president during a transitional time. And so just being creative around that. Other challenges are the normal challenges of projects and getting resources and wanting to do the best and wanting to get better. The good thing about RCNC is that we lie on the shoulders of the people who come before us, and then we make sure that whatever they create and they build, we don't let them down. We build it, we sustain it, and that's why we are continually recognized, even in the district and beyond, of how excellent we are. And so certainly that comes with a lot of pressure as a leader. So for example, with the many projects that were there at that time, with maintaining projects like Agalake, Elimu Magerezani, which started as Vitabu Magerezani, actually started in my year, not in 2015, 2016, with Mike Mutuma, with Charles Muthui, really running the show on that. Then it moved to Elimu Magerezani, I think, in 2017, after I was president. And so just trying to figure it out, conceptualizing, supporting the team was not easy, but it came together quite well because I had a dedicated team. A constant, I think I was really privileged to have a fantastic team. Like, I felt that even in the moments where things were really hard, and most of the time beyond the membership issues and the transitions, most of the time it was really hard when you had to get things done, when you had big international service projects to do, collaborating with other projects, when you had big international service projects to do, such as the Careers Day and merging it with club service, bringing other clubs together, community service projects. But I felt that in regards to RCNC, I was really well supported by my team. So I didn't feel that pressure that other leaders and presidents have felt. And then something that was a challenge to me, which is, I think, possibly unique to me, is that at the time I was president, I was also district secretary. If I was asked to do something else differently in my Rotaract life, it would be that. So I was bullied into being district secretary of the district, Rotaract district. So what a district secretary does is that they are able to receive reports from the assistant district Rotaract representatives, who are called ADRRs. Was it on a quarterly basis? I can't remember, or monthly, I can't even remember. And then they synthesize it and they present it in a format in which we can be able to state the status of the district generally across the board, whether it's to RI, whether it's to the district, whether it's to the country level. And so all the reports for Kenya, for Ethiopia, and for South Sudan, at that time we didn't have a club in Eritrea, came to my desk. And I had to review them and synthesize them into one report, at the same time being president. That wasn't the smartest move. So it was a lot of pressure for me, But then again, it's for some people, not for others. And I will just respond to that in regards to an expectation that was given by one of the people in regards to how to avoid burnout. So for me, what I would say is, be able, as you are taking up responsibilities, it's good to stretch yourself. Very, very important. That's what Rotaract does to you. But be mindful of the situation of your life and what you can be able to take up. Because sometimes Rotaractors take up so much, they get so burnt out, and that's why we have sometimes very low transition rates to Rotary. Because it's the same people doing the same things year in, year out. And they get so exhausted that they are not even, they're thinking that if they join Rotary, it's the same thing. So just be able to be ambitious, grow yourself, push yourself, but at the same time, be mindful of your circumstances. I don't even know how I became a Rotarian after that year, but I did. And then how it led to the success of the club and making it different. I believe I really recruited an awesome bunch of people. I think, I hope I'm not frozen. I think everybody that became a member at that time, it was just amazing, and they ended up doing really, really great things. And so how you recruit membership and how you make people understand the objects of Rotary and the right motivations to it, and create that spirit of camaraderie, brotherhood, working hard, having a lot of fun, partying hard as well as working hard because of the demographic of people. When you create all those values and you get the right people, as a leader, you don't struggle as much. So what I would advise current and future leadership is get the right people, yes, but make them understand the values that come with being a Rotaractor. Make them understand the hard work that it gets into there. It's not all fun and games. Make them understand how they benefit as they give to the club, right? Because we all can't be here if there's nothing we're getting in return. So for me, I think those aspects of cohesion, I think Samantha inducted you, no? No? Yes? No? I don't know. Yes, I inducted you amongst a lot of other people. So yeah, I think that's what I would say.
Asante sana. I think your input has answered quite a lot of questions in terms of not only challenges, but transition. During the introductions, a lot of the people have mentioned they would want to know how you can handle burnout and transition from membership from being a member to alumni. And you've mentioned that it is important for one to gauge the responsibilities that they take up, and so that you're not always tired and experience burnout. And also to the current leaders of the club, Madam President and incoming, you've had the challenges that she experienced during her year, which are common all across, not just to RCNC, to other clubs, to other presidents. So take heart, and all the other pointers that she's mentioned, I hope that they'll be helpful to you. Rotarian Gideon, our godfather, tell us about Rotaract in the 90s, because this is a totally different era, totally different time. Some of us were not born. How was Rotaract back then? How was the club running? What were the challenges you were facing? Are they similar to now? Are there some new things that have come up? Is there something, some pointers you can give us that can, help, change things in the club currently?
Probably let me start by saying it's a blessing that we have so many female Rotaractors and Rotarians to date. In the 90s, we lost women Rotaractors who would have transitioned into Rotary simply because Rotary did not accept women. Our first DRR was the most dynamic woman I've seen in Rotary service. She was called Tasnima Damji. Tasnima Damji did not have the privilege to join Rotary. And even the lady who followed her, called Shilpa Natwani, Tasnim was from the Rotaract Club of Mombasa. Shilpa Natwani was from the Rotaract Club of Bahari, Mombasa. And for a long time, the top student in terms of grades at the USIU University. She's now called Shilpa Shah. These two ladies didn't transition into Rotary because Rotary was not ready for them. And I would want to say that it was Rotary's loss, because those were excellent people I came across that would easily have made many other people follow the course. We were, I would want to say that Nairobi at the time was a club also learning. I'll be honest, while we grew up, we didn't even, after we left campus, amongst the trainings we were receiving was how to write a CV. So basic. So we were not exposed. And imagine that became a whole training. Today I tell people to write me CVs, and I'm just shocked at what we used to do because of the style, the delivery, the tone in which a CV is presented to you. You just want to meet the person. We didn't have grand projects. Our biggest project was annual visit to Togoto, home for the aged. Take them food, take them do painting, clean up for a day. Now, what used to happen is, for you to know where people were going to hang, you had to come for the community service meeting first, because there were no mobile phones. Emails had not come, and basically, if you miss the meeting on Tuesday, we used to meet on Tuesday. You still meet on Tuesdays? Yes, we used to meet at Caboose restaurant on Harambee Plaza. Then we moved to somewhere on Utalii House. Eventually, President Anne Mohia moved the club to Grand Regency. So you miss a meeting, you have to go for the next meeting to get to know where another bash is going to happen. So we did that, and then we were enjoined to a project on business development by it was called National Enterprise Scheme. That was the project of our Rotary Club, and what they did was to shortlist. We were to shortlist proposals that would eventually enter into a competition, and that competition, people will be announced. I think they used to earn $1 million, and free full page advertisements, not advertisements, but an article on the winner, the organization that has won. It used to be called National Enterprise Award. Now, it is from this National Enterprise Award that some of us picked the ideas on how to do business proposals. That is, I think, one takeaway lesson that I must admit was very, very, very useful. And I want to say this: my Rotaract class of Nairobi Central went on to be leaders in so many ways. Today, you see Zimele asset management receipts for when you take your parking at Sarit Center or at Nairobi Hospital or whatever. That was an idea. And Zimele Asset Management was a company formed by a Rotaractor in my class. African Online, the people that brought internet to Africa, to Kenya and Africa, because they started from Kenya and expanded. African Online. The first managing director was my president. Actually, there was a lady between me and him. It's called Kamande Muiruri. They went on to achieve great things in the internet, so I mean, let me call it digital communication. Henry Joroge was my vice president, and he, for a long time, was the managing director of UUNet. Musili Nzambu, if you've heard of LandTech, you're the first people to do local area network and wide area network. So you have a set of alumni members that we've not tapped into. And I think, Samantha, you gave me the challenge and we want to look at ways we can for sure bring them back so that the current membership can benefit. Thank you.
Asante sana. So that's unfortunate that you've mentioned back in the day, women were not allowed to be members of the club. That shows that you've definitely come a long way. I think with the advancement of technology and time, Rotarian Gideon, what can you say, or what can you see to be the future of Rotaract and Rotary from back in the day in the 80s and 90s when you are a member to now in 2020, 5-10 years from now? How do you see Rotary and Rotaract?
I'll probably want to say this, Samantha, the knowledge gap between Rotarians and Rotaractors has decreased. I'd want to confess that you people are a lot more smarter than us, which is why we have come to Rotaractors for what we call reverse mentorship. We can't cope with the pace at which life is going, particularly in the digital space. So we have to hang around you people so that we can move into the future together. Rotaractors are a lot more bolder, smarter, organized. Agalake was excellent, a project. The Bosal books project, your partnership with JK Quat was excellent. So for us, I think we are here to support you, which is why as we've not done much with actually we've done a lot more work with the Madam President before we became presidents of our respective clubs. We are willing, and for this I think I want to vow that we will continue supporting the Careers Day. I want Rotaract Club of Nairobi Central to continue helping us in reaching out to the interactors, because Interact is the first experience we have with a service organization such as Rotary. So if we can make that experience pleasurable like it was made for me at Dagoretti High School, I would want to think that transition rates from Interact to Rotaract would be better. Now, the future definitely is Rotaract, and which is why I am unashamedly asking you to consider Rotary Club of Nairobi in particular, or any other Rotary Club that should suit you, to be an opportunity to join. We want to make it, particularly as the Rotary Club of Nairobi, you are joining and transitioning to be as relaxed as possible. So I'm looking at the future where we can have as many Rotaractors join, because you are not new to the way Rotary works. We want your agility, we want your intellectual experience in how to go about service projects. And with the critical numbers from Rotaract, you're going to change the culture, particularly of a rigid club like Rotary Club of Nairobi. We are doing as much as possible in clearing the path for you people. So the trick is to have critical numbers of smart people like you in our clubs, and we are going to change the way our thinking and how we view our future. Thank you.
Asante sana. I think that's a challenge to some of us in the alumni bracket, and also to current members who are thinking to transition. Do kindly consider joining Rotary. Don't let Rotaract be the last stop. And also to the Prof Dev team, a challenge to you and your Interact clubs. Okay, finally to Al-Bashir. Al-Bashir, I'd say, is one of the most selfless Rotaractors I have ever come across. in taking up roles, in taking up projects, in anything that you can think of in Rotaract. And Alba, I'd like you to close this discussion by maybe giving a word of encouragement and a story of your experience in Rotaract and the roles that you played, and what you gained from taking up these roles, so as to enable some of the members we have to not to shy away from taking up such leadership positions. So Al-Bashir, the floor is yours.
Asante sana Samantha. The question you've asked is a very good one, also a very good one. And to be very honest, the experience, my experience and my colleague is that the more you give to Rotaract and Rotary, the more you, and you get in multiples of what you give. The thing, service above self is the but one of my best quotes is the best way to know yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others. When I joined the Rotaract UN, I was very shy, extremely. For the people who know me, especially at RCNC, will not know that part of me. An extremely shy person. And for what it's worth, I was also an introvert. I was very careful on who I talk to and who I interact with. Then I joined Rotaract UN, and Rotaract UN was a very big club. At some point, we were over 200 members. An induction at Rotaract UN was basically 2 contract clubs that you get to know. We were inducting 30, 40 people in a day. So I joined Rotaract UN around 2009, 2010 there. I was inducted. The day I was inducted, I was already active in the club. Because the induction was not very frequent. I think RCNC is the same. So when I was inducted, the then community service director had resigned because he was busy with studies and all that. And the then president who inducted me is called Ismail, currently a Rotarian at Rotary Club of Nairobi North. Gave me the role. He told everybody, Al-Bashir, you've been inducted today and you're going to be the community service director of the club. And because of that, I had to give a speech on my induction day. Hiyo siku nilichora map ya dunia. Wacha venye tunasemanga people wanachora map ya Kenya. I literally nilichora map. I was not able to look at anybody in the eye to accept my appointment as the community service director. The long short of it, of course, I went ahead to become the club president. After that, I became an ADRR. After ADRR-ship, I became a DCA chair. At some point, I was assistant professional service director at RCNC. I've now joined Rotary Club of Hurlingham. And I'm currently the projects director at Rotary Club of Hurlingham. And to date, even at my current role as the projects director at Rotary Club of Hurlingham, I'm finding a situation that I'm becoming a better person because of the roles that I take up. And it's not easy. The job that I have, the role that I do at my 8 to 5, taking up any additional role is extremely a big challenge. Maria has mentioned something, that she was district secretary and at the same time the club president. And that is one thing she's saying she could change. But I know Maria probably more than anybody else in this meeting today. I know her very well. And I probably know this about her that she doesn't know. Were it not for that challenge of doing those two roles, Maria will probably not be at her current job as a project manager. And the kind of activities that she's able to do at where she's working right now, she's a person that you can throw anything at her and she will diligently perform the duty that you give her, notwithstanding whatever is on her plate. And I don't think that will be possible for her right now, were it not for that challenge. At the time that she became the district secretary, Richard was our very mutual common friend. Richard was the DRR. And whether she wanted or not, whatever Richard wanted would have been done. So it was a deep end for her. And because of that, takes Maria to the deepest end of issues right now. And she'll come out strongly. So back to your question on encouragement to take up roles. Whether you are a guest, Rotary does not say that because you are a guest, you are not able to do 1 or 2 things. You are a guest, yes, you cannot be a director of the club. You are a guest, you cannot be the president of the club. You are a guest, you cannot represent the club on various occasions. But as a guest, nothing prevents you from being a champion of a project. Nothing prevents you from coming up with an idea of making the club better, being more influential in terms of the ideas you generate. And trust me, in Rotaract, are allowed to make mistakes. And age, as I've mentioned, I joined Rotaract in 2010. At that time, I will do things or say things publicly, and I will not be worried of the consequences. Right now, I might say something, and for one reason or another, somebody is recording this, and it might come back to me. As you grow older, you become very careful of what you say. You become very careful of what you do. And therefore, your ability to throw yourself into the deep ends that I'm mentioning are becoming less and less. So if you have an opportunity to do anything, if it's to run a meeting, if you have an opportunity to run a meeting, if you have an opportunity to run a project, do it to the best of your ability. As I've said, the best way to know yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others. And by that, there's the number one rule in leadership. I've gone through a leadership training. The number one rule of leadership is to know yourself. If you don't know yourself, you can't serve anybody. If you don't know yourself, they say if you accept everything, you'll fall for you'll fall for anything. So if you want to know yourself, if you want to know your limits, if you want to expand, forget about being shy. When back then I could not be able to speak in English. I could not finish a sentence in English. I'm actually surprised, since Samantha, you gave me this role, nimeongea English peke yake. So let me go back to my norm. That was for real. I'm not joking. Because of the experiences, because of the opportunities you have. I remember there was a time when I was even at RCNC, when you go to Rotary Club, the conversation there are in English. Wewe na shida zako za matamshi, you choose to be silent. So when even people say hi, you just reply hi. You can't go beyond that. But as you interact with people, as you get along with people, for example, if I meet Gidi kwa barabara, I don't think we'll just say hi na tuwachane. We will say hi, where have you been? What are you up to nowadays? If I have time and he has time, we'll probably go somewhere, have coffee, catch up, know what is going on. And that only happens because Gidi knows I've been a Rotaractor. And the main or only way he knows that is because I was active. I was not a backbencher. Gidi, probably from where he can confirm this. I think when I was in RCNC, we were so many. but there are very few people that Gidi can remember. No offense to anybody in the alumnus who is not remembered, but if you are active, you will never know who will see you. I remember there was a time, like my journey, my story of joining the Rotary Club of Hurlingham. I was never invited. What happened was, in the current president of my club, Vero, is also an alumnus of RCNC. We met for an alumni gathering at Public Service Club. And we were just chatting, and somebody mentioned to her that I'm a QS and I'm very passionate on anything construction. So Vero turned around and asked me, Al-Bashir, there is something that we are doing. Why don't you come and see if you can help us? So I went to the club, and it was a Rotary Club of Hurlingham project. Gidi probably knows about this St. Dominic. We also partnered with the RCN on that project. And when they gave me that role, they didn't give me, they told me to come and participate. But in a few months' time, I was the project champion for that role. Members of Rotary Club of Hurlingham will come to me and ask me what's going on, how can we support? And then one day they were inducting people and they called me, by the way, Al-Bashir, you're in the induction list. You need to come prepared. The good thing, it was COVID time, so I was able to attend it online with whatever I was dressing. So, I don't know how I can emphasize this. I became a member. Immediately I became a member because of the same project. I'm now this project director at the Rotary Club of Hurlingham. And we've I think Maria is also our member now. So we've managed to do so many projects this year, and out of those projects, I've learned a lot. I've known how to deal with people. As you know, Rotary has the very old, the midlife, and then the young people. I'm no longer the young people. There are people who are younger than me. There are people who are older than me. And so you get to interact with different personalities as you work. Now, if for example, I was a member at RCON, I would probably never have been a member at RCNC. It's that simple. Why? Because Maria has mentioned how she joined RCNC. I suffered the same fate. Immediately from RCON, I wanted to go somewhere else, but Irina being Irina, we were inducted with Maria on the same day. The rest is history. The only way Maria knew me is because I was very active at RCON. So there was a high chance that if I was not active at RCON, Irina would not have known me and therefore will not be in RCNC. How I've joined Rotary Club of Hurlingham is because I was in RCNC and I was active in RCNC, and somebody in RCNC knew that I was in construction and projects, and therefore introduced me to Vero, and Vero now has introduced me to, introduced me to Hurlingham, and I'm now a member. So I don't know what's next, but what I know is the more I give myself to service, the more I open my doors for new opportunities, the more I step out of my comfort zone, and the more I grow myself as a person. What I know is it is very easy to accept your comfort zone, and you will never know how time passes if you remain in your comfort zone. You'll find a situation, and all of us are grown-ups. All of us have been to primary school, have been to high school, and some of us are in campus, some of us are working. I'm sure you can relate when I say there are people in your primary school that you cannot talk to, not because you are at umekuwa babi or anything, but there's a way your conversation are not in sync. There are people you are with in high school that your conversation cannot you can meet, you can chat, but there's a way inakuwa ngumu. But at the same breath, there are people that you are with together, you look at them, you're like, weh, these people, kuna venye Mungu alifika kwa kitabu yao, chapter yao Mungu alifika. And those things happen to people that wanajitoa, mtu anajitolea, let me do it. And as I've mentioned, especially to the new Rotaractors, the guests, give yourself, put yourself out there, and don't worry, nobody will question what you do. We fanya, kakiharibika, kameharibika, that's the worst that can happen either way. Right now, if I do something or if I say something where I work, they might turn around and say, we don't want to be associated with what you're saying. So, kwaheri. But back then, ni mimi. So through those experiences, I now know how to talk to people. I know what to say, what not to say. There are things I can tell Maria, but I cannot tell anybody else. Or there are things I can do around Maria, Samantha, and the people that I'm close with, but I can't do anywhere else because najua this is for this group, this is for that group. And that is only through exposure. I hope I've done justice to your question, Samantha.
Yes, you have done proper justice. I think the takeaway from your answer is, what was your gope? Do not be afraid to take up leadership positions. Do not be afraid to take up roles or do anything that you can do in the club, because you end up, or rather what you gain from the experience is something that you won't get anywhere else. So to our guests, I hope that has come as an encouragement. I think time has really gone. Madam President has allowed me 5 minutes or 10 to take up questions. So to our members and our guests, anyone who has a question to our 4 panelists, please raise your hand. I can select you. And I'm hoping that you can keep the questions really short due to time as well. So anyone with a question, kindly. Yes, we have Lucy Kimani. Kindly unmute, and floor is yours.
Sorry, I was having a few issues with my mic. Hi, everybody. So my question is directed to Al-Bashir because it's based on something that he mentioned. So Alba, you mentioned not being able to take up extra roles at your 8 to 5. So at any point, do you feel like you compromised on your career, like your professional career? And do you feel like what you say forgo at work is fulfilled in Rotaract? Do you feel like you're losing anything at work, or do you feel like Rotaract gives you that kind of balance that you don't feel like you're losing anything in your career?
Should I answer, or we take a few and then answer together?
I think, Alba, you can proceed since we don't have another question. Yeah.
Samantha, let others ask, and then so that we can help wherever. Let them just float questions, but Alba can go on as they prepare. Thank you.
Okay.
Yes, Lucy, this just sasa watu siwezi ona camera na nimeona tu LK. I hope it's the Lucy that I know. So that question, trust me, there is somebody, there's a saying, or I'm not sure if it's a saying or it's a thing that people say, that when you are in your deathbed, you will never regret the hours you spend out of work. Hautasema ati I wish ninge work zaidi. Hautasema I wish I would have done that thing or done this thing. at that point, what matters most is the impact that you've had, the hearts that you've touched, the things that you've changed as a person. There's a book I will encourage you to read, Who Will Attend Your Funeral? It's not specifically about you who will attend your funeral, but it's basically when you're no longer here, who will attend that funeral? Who will be there to say, this is a gentle heart or something. And kawaida, everybody who that passes on tunasemaga hivyo, but kuna zile that you mean that this indeed was a loss. So to answer your question, I cannot regret the hours that I've spent out of the office for service. I remember when I was the DCA chair, I'm still working where I used to work. And at that time, I've told this story to a few guys. My boss, I went to him to ask for a sponsorship for the event. He turned around and told me, by the way, we are giving you all the free time that you want. We will never load you with work. And fanya conference urudi. That is our donation. We've donated you to the event. Go and do your best. And during that time, to be honest, being the DCA chair was my full-time job. Being a quantity surveyor and a construction project manager was my part-time job. It was heavy in terms of the time that it required and the commitment that it needed. So immediately after DCA, something that most people will not also know, when Maria was proposed to be the district chair, I was proposed to be something else. Maria probably will be the only person who knows. But because of the commitment that I had given to DCA and the time that I was not available for my work, I sort of requested that let me give some time back to work so that I'm able to recover the time that I was not at work because of being a DCA chair. If you ask me, Lucy, right now, I wish I took up that role. I wish I served with Maria at that time because I'll be honest with you, I can't account for that time of my life. I don't know if that makes sense. If you ask me right now, I can tell you what I did at CON when I had community service director, when I was the president. I can recall very special moments that I had an impact. I can recall, for example, when I was the DCA chair, I can tell you, for example, Rotaract Club of Parklands, Rotaract Club of Muthaiga North, a club that were chartered when I was ADRR for those two clubs. I can tell you the things that I'm currently doing as a project manager, what I've been doing for a whole year. I can tell you what I've been doing at RCNC. But for those periods that I decided I'm not in Rotary and I'm not in Rotaract, I can't tell you what happened. Of course, I was working. Of course, I was busy. But maybe people who know me can tell me you were doing A, B, C, and D. Maybe I got married, nikapata watoto. That I remember. But in terms of service and impact having done during that time that I decided to take a backseat, I wouldn't. So right now, if you ask me, for example, tomorrow I have a meeting at 8. But there's a donor who wants to do something in our project. Which of those two things will I give an apology for? It will be my job meeting tomorrow. Because the job meeting will be there next Wednesday as well. But this opportunity to discuss with somebody who will give us an impact to serve somebody might not be there. So I will easily take my off day to go and serve. And because that's an opportunity that I might not have any other time, unlike this thing. Now, I'm not saying that ukipata kazi, unachezea kazi and you're doing this and that, hapana. One thing that giving yourself to service will show you is that you have to be good at whatever is given. You see, even my job is a trust. Somebody has trusted me with that responsibility. The same way I'm serving humanity, I'm serving on a different role. My boss also expects me to do something, and there's no way inaweza chezea hiyo kazi. What I'm trying to say is you need and I'm very clear that, for example, the impact that me giving an apology for a site meeting tomorrow will have compared to the impact of me giving an apology to, because if I give an apology to the site meeting, it's for me and I can send somebody from the office. But if I don't attend that meeting that can support our project, I'm disappointing not just me, I'm disappointing people who are very much in need of that opportunity that I would have provided if I'm providing service. So Lucy, I hope I've answered your question. Basically, at the end of the day, you will remember more what you did to impact and less what you did to get that income kidogo.
Probably let me add to Al-Bashir. I'll try to be very brief. Life is about risk or regret. Those two R's. They are just two sides of the coin. In 1990 this year, we elected a Rotaract from Mauritius. And what this guy said is, you guys, it is your business to get to Mauritius. Once you get to Mauritius, it is our business to take care of you. I went to school in the days we used to earn boom. And the air ticket to Mauritius was actually two of my booms for my was it first or second year? So I paid in 2 installments for my trip to Mauritius. And my mzee saw the determination. I paid 10,000. My mzee saw the determination and gave me another 10,000 of his pension for the son to fly abroad. Two things happened. One, on that flight, I met Rotarians who changed my life. One of them was the late Kundan Doshi. Anytime I was on holiday, I would get a job. Hata kama ni ya kuhesabu mawaiten, manini at Doshi Hardware. And Doshi actually held my hand and eventually guided me to get a job at Nation Newspapers. When I got a job at Nation Newspapers, another trip came up to go to Kampala for a district conference. Timing haikuingiana, but I went to Nation to HR and finance, and I requested for an advance. Advance, of course, you know, Rotaractors don't have money, sana. But because we used to distribute Nation in Uganda, I actually took hizo pujo za Nation all the way to Busia. When I crossed over, the people, because we used to distribute Nation newspapers through the New Vision, the guys would come to collect the New Vision. Wakakuja, I go to Kampala KICC, and once you get there, of course, Rotaractors know how to manage issues. I ended up with home hospitality for certain Rotarians. Now, later on, there was some work that needed to be done in Uganda for the East African. And amongst the young people, management trainees from Kenya who could go to Uganda or had Ugandan experience, much as I inflated it, was none other than this guy who used a Nation newspaper van to go to for a Rotaract conference. So it's a question of risk. And I have to say this, at your level as Rotaractors, you can take a lot more risk than Rotarians. We're inflexible. Many things have clogged our heads. We have different expectations from simple enjoyment of life. So if you're not going to enjoy Rotaract as a member of Rotary, then you're missing out on the many opportunities that exist in the period and time that you'll never get again. So ensure that you optimize on the enjoyment. Of course, budget would always be an issue. And again, let me tell you, the expectation is for Rotaractors from community clubs transiting into community clubs. It's your responsibility to make them, settle in So you take up that leadership role of encouraging those ones that are behind you to settle in. So those are the many issues, how you balance that mix and how you move forward in the circumstances of a busy schedule is dependent on how much risk or how much regret you want from a particular event. Thank you.
Samantha, let me just Maria kuwa na adabu. So let me just, but it's related to you, so it's good that you're speaking as well. Let me just say something that Gidi has mentioned and just enforce it. When we say give yourself, simanishi ati kuwa busy with the project and anything else. Have fun, jibambe, network with people, go for those home hospitality, enda ulale na watu. I remember when we were in Rotaract, sitasema Kenya watu walikuwa wakifanya, but I can tell you kuna watu walikuwa this thing is recorded, but because I'm not mentioning some people, let me say this. We are meeting on Friday, but tutajua tunalala wapi, but tutalala vizuri. Let me acha niachie hapo. Have fun, jibambe sana, network, socialize, get close to people. You'll know the people of your type. I can tell you for free, some of the closest people in my life are people that I interacted with, tukakaa nao pamoja in Rotaract. I remember anything yenye imenifanyikia maisha yangu. For example, Maria, there is something very tragic that happened to me sometime in 2020. The first person I called was Maria, and it was late at night. She was the first person I called, and she was the only person I talked to. Hata kuna watu wengi sana hapa marafiki zangu probably don't even know what that thing is, but she knows how it happened. She stood with me the whole time in ways that I cannot imagine. And I have siblings, I have friends when you grow now, I have cousins, and very few people were there for me the way Maria was there for me. And that is not because we were in RCNC together. It's because we were in RCNC was what ilifanya tukajuana. By the way, we didn't know each other from RCNC. Tulijuana through Rotaract. Let me put it that way, because nilikuwa najua Maria kivaa jeans. I will not shy away from saying this. So tukajuana, and because of that relationship that we built, we become so very good friends. Samantha is another person. Samantha, you remember the very late night calls. I will not say the topic that we were discussing, but tulikuwa tunaongea sana usiku. And all that is because we were free with each other. We had fun. There are things that Maria has done that I cannot say on recorded videos. And there are things that I know about people here that I cannot mention. And I'm not saying that to threaten them. I'm saying that just to show that in the process of serving, in the process of being active, we knew each other. And right now, I sort of know I have another family. In fact, Maria, you know this, we have another group of us that we were in Rotaract together, and we call ourselves my other family. And some of those people are not even ex-RCNC members, but wacha ninyamazie hapo. Kuna mtu amesema ninyamaze, si ndio? Steve, sawa Steve. I've heard you.
Please, you go on. Quick one. Lucy, your question. I think one of the things that somebody mentioned, I don't know whether it was any DCA, that Rotaract gives you CEO training for free. It doesn't matter all the things that you're missing out on or at work. Nobody is going to give you a chance to be a manager, to be a CEO for a day. If you become Prof Dev Director, if you become Community Service Director, if you become President, if you become a country representative, all those things are going to give you exposure that no job is going to give you at your age. And that's a fact, right? Nobody will trust you with all that responsibility other than in Rotaract. And the most awesome thing is that as you have a chance to experiment, to be a leader, to fail, other people are going to hold you up, and you're going to learn. So I have two specific jobs that I got. One was with the United Nations Support Office for Somalia because of Rotaract. A fantastic opportunity because they knew me and my credentials because of how I was able to support. Second one was a very good job that catapulted my career with an organization called Center for Reproductive Rights. I was the least qualified person for the job because I knew the other candidates. Very rigorous processes. But they're like, you know what? This girl has done so much as president. She has networked. She has done events. I hyped. During my interviews, I hyped all the things I'd done in Rotaract. And they were like, she's not a lawyer. This job is in a legal organization, which was a fantastic job. But they were like, you know what? These are the right skills and attitudes we want, right? So don't take for granted the opportunities that Rotaract gives you in leadership, whether it's club service to create parties, to check up on members, to make sure people are okay, whether it's professional development, whether it's community service. Just make sure you do the best you can, because there's no employer out there who's going to give you that chance that Rotaract gives you to be able to discover yourself, your abilities, and you're not judged. Everybody is going to be holding your hand, making sure you're okay. And I can't say enough about camaraderie. Al-Bashir has talked about it. My greatest friends are from Rotaract. The people who I call if I don't have rent, if I've never been arrested, but if I would get arrested one day, I would probably call a Rotaractor. If I was in the greatest trouble, I would probably look for somebody who I've met in this experience. And so don't think about what you're giving, but in that sense, but think about what you're getting in return. How can you benefit as you continue to give? That's what I would say, Lucy. Thanks.
Asanteni sana. I think everything has been said. There's nothing I can add. For all those who have more questions to ask, kindly send them to me or maybe to the secretary, and I can forward them later to the alumni, and we can figure out a way to have your questions answered. But for now, I've been informed time is up. So I'll just take this opportunity to say thank you to the panelists and hand over back to you, Madam President. Asanteni sana.
Thank you, Samantha. Thank you, our alumni, for that insightful conversation. Like I've known you guys from a while back, and I still learn new things every time you guys are around. And I'd like to thank you so much for that. I'll invite Samuel Kamau to give the vote of thanks. Sam? Sam, are you in? Hello? Okay, maybe Rita Momo, would you like to give the vote of thanks in Sam's absence? Am I audible?
Very.
Okay. So people are just running away from giving vote of thanks. Okay. Steve Minor then. Let me just ambush you. Bona PE.
Thank you, Madam President. So as on behalf of the Rotaract Club of Nairobi Central and all our members and guests who are tuned in to this call, we wish to give our heartfelt gratitude to the awesome power panel that we've had this evening. I think, and I speak on behalf of everybody on this call, this was quite an eye-opening engagement. We've learned so many things about issues around Rotaract, issues around service, and issues around free leadership skills that we gain through Rotaract and through donating our time, our resources. I think President Gideon was quite articulate on how he actually used his salary and also took advances from his salary to just to attend a lottery meeting, and how that returned back to him tenfold. And I think we've really had an amazing experience through your eyes and through your experiences that will help us as Rotaractors and also as people who are hoping to join Rotaract and also transition into Rotary in the future, that will help us guide that way, and also motivate us for the bigger goal, that together we can also create that impact in our society. And I'm so humbled that all of you agreed to attend this meeting and speak so fluently and so openly and share with us things that we actually didn't know. So on behalf of everybody in RCNC and everybody on this call, I wish to thank you so much for your time and also for your impact that you've given onto us. And we wish you the very best. Na tukipatana hapo nje, kindly tunasalimiana, and we also encourage each other that in this journey, the impact is what we need to be looking at. Thank you so much. Back to you, Madam President.
Thank you, Steve. We'll now proceed. Time has really, we are 30 minutes past our usual time. Let me just